I'm sitting in a cafe 2 blocks from the Westbahnhof in Vienna, drinking coffee that tastes like burnt dirt and watching the street through windows that haven't been cleaned since the Nazis left. It's November 1975. Cold as hell. Getting colder. My cover is import-export businessman, industrial drilling equipment. Boring as shit. Perfect. Nobody looks twice at a guy selling drill bits to Eastern European factories. The cover gets me across borders, gets me meetings, gets me into rooms where people talk about things they shouldn't. The cable came through 3 days ago. Short, direct, the kind that makes your heart spike even reading it in a secure facility. Romanian military officer, access to Warsaw Pact strategic defense plans, willing to talk. Vienna, soon. That's it. That's all they gave me. No name, no rank, no specifics about what plans or which systems or why the hell a Romanian colonel would risk his neck to hand over his country's defense secrets. Just the bare minimum. The kind of brief that means either the source is so sensitive our own communications are compromised, or somebody doesn't know a goddamn thing and they're hoping I can figure it out. Either way, I volunteered. When they asked who wanted to run this, my hand went up first. That's how it works. Always worked. You don't wait for the perfect assignment. You don't analyze whether this fits your skill set or career trajectory. You volunteer. Every time, no exceptions, because what sounds insignificant might be cover for something critical. What looks like nothing might be the best thing going. You don't know until you're in it. And if you wait for clarity, someone else takes the job and you stay behind. The cafe owner brings another cup without asking. Old Austrian guy, maybe 70. He's seen the Nazis, seen the Soviets, seen the city divided and rebuilt and divided again by invisible lines that matter more than walls. He doesn't ask questions. That's Vienna. Everyone's got secrets. I check the time, 2:15 in the afternoon. Meet set for 6:30 tonight. Prater Park, near the Riesenrad, a big Ferris wheel, tourist spot when it's warm in November, is empty, cold, perfect for spotting surveillance, or perfect for a trap. The initial contact protocol came through back channel. Romanian walked into the American consulate in Munich 2 weeks ago, asked to speak with someone from special services. Consulate security almost threw him out, but the guy was persistent, said he had information about Warsaw Pact air defense networks, said he'd only talk in Vienna, said he'd make contact through specific protocols on specific dates. Then he left, just walked out, disappeared into Munich. That kind of approach is either legitimate or it's a provocation. The Romanians testing our response protocols, the Soviets running a dangle operation to identify our intelligence officers, or it's real. An actual source with actual access, offering actual intelligence. You don't know which until you're sitting across from him. The coffee's cold now. I drain it anyway, stand up, drop coins on the table. The owner nods, doesn't say goodbye. I walk out into Vienna's gray afternoon and start my surveillance detection route. 4 hours until the meet. 4 hours to make sure nobody's following me to it. The Prater at 6:30 is cold and mostly empty. November in Vienna isn't tourist season. The Riesenrad turns slow against gray sky. Half the gondolas empty. Thin crowd, couples walking. Few kids, some old people near the fountain. I'm early, always early. Gives you time to read terrain, spot problems, identify escape routes. I'm carrying nothing. No weapon, no camera, no documents, just cash and a small notebook that looks like business records, drilling equipment, sales figures, contacts for fictional Czech and Hungarian factory managers. If someone stops me, I'm a businessman taking a walk before dinner. I circle the Ferris wheel twice, look for counter surveillance, look for watchers, look for wrong faces in wrong places. The Romanians run tight intelligence. The Securitate doesn't mess around. If this colonel is legitimate and they've caught wind, They'll have people here. I don't see anyone. That worries me more than spotting a surveillance team. Either they're very good or the colonel hasn't been compromised yet. At 25 past 6, I see him. Dark overcoat, gray hat, middle-aged, thick build, the posture you get from 30 years military service, shoulders back, chin up, even trying to look casual. He's standing near the ticket booth, not looking around, not scanning, just standing there like a man waiting for a ride. Amateur, but that's good. If he were smooth, I'd worry about setup. The fact he looks nervous means he's probably legitimate. Probably. I walk past once. Don't make eye contact. Circle to a bench 30 meters away. Watch him 5 minutes. He doesn't move, doesn't check his watch, just stands there trying hard to belong. At exactly 6:30, I stand and walk toward him. Close enough to speak, I say in Romanian, the ride is better at sunset. He turns. Face pale, sweat on his forehead despite the cold. He answers in Romanian, I have never ridden it. Confirmation phrase. We're both who we're supposed to be. I nod toward a path away from the Ferris wheel. Let's walk. We walk 2 minutes in silence. I'm scanning constantly. He's trying not to look terrified. Finally, I say in English, you speak English? Yes. Better than you speak Romanian. I almost smile. Guy's got nerve. Why are you here? He doesn't answer right away. We keep walking. Past a food stand selling roasted chestnuts. The smell's good. Warm. I am Colonel Ionescu, he says finally. Romanian Army, Strategic Defense Planning Section. I have access to Warsaw Pact Integrated Air Defense Network Plans, SAM site locations, radar coverage, command and control protocols, response times, weaknesses. I don't react, just keep walking like he's discussing weather. Why? I ask. Why am I telling you? Why are you betraying your country? He stops walking, turns to face me, eyes hard, angry. I am not betraying my country. I am betraying the bastards who run it. Then he tells me, his son, 22 years old, engineering student, bright kid, asked questions, wrong questions. Why Romania had food shortages while party elite ate like kings. Why citizens needed permission to travel inside their own country. Questions about Soviet control and Romanian sovereignty. Security came for him 6 months ago, middle of the night. 3 weeks later, family received notification he died in custody, heart failure, 22 years old. The colonel saw the body, saw the bruises, saw what they did before they killed him. I have spent 30 years serving Romania, he says, voice quiet now, controlled. I believed in defending our borders, our people, our sovereignty, but we are not defending Romania. We are defending Moscow's control. We are defending a system that murders children for asking questions. He looks at me. So yes, I am giving you our defense plans, every detail I can access, because maybe if the West knows our weaknesses, maybe if NATO can neutralize our defenses, maybe the people who killed my son will think twice before starting a war they cannot win. I let that sit, then say that's a hell of a reason. It is the only reason that matters. We meet again 4 days later, different location, different time, always careful, always watching. This time it's a used bookstore in the Interstadt, old place, cramped aisles, books stacked floor to ceiling, smell of dust and old paper, owners in back somewhere. Doesn't care who comes and goes. The colonel's browsing history section when I walk in, doesn't look up, doesn't acknowledge me. Good. He's learning. I move to the same section. Pull a book on the Habsburg Empire. Pretend to read. We're standing 3 feet apart. 2 strangers looking at books. I brought photographs, he says quietly, still looking at his book. SAM site locations. 32 sites across Romania. Coordinates, equipment types, personnel strength. How did you photograph them? Office camera. Claimed I needed copies for briefing materials. Developed them myself in department darkroom. Anyone see you? No. You sure? Yes. I close my book, pull another one, open it. Where are they? He slides a book off the shelf. Thick volume. World War II history. Inside the dust jacket. Back panel. I don't touch it. Leave it on the shelf. I'll get it after you go. When do we meet again? 1 week. Same time. Different location. I'll leave instructions in a dead drop. There's a trash bin outside the Karlskirche, south side. Check it tomorrow morning at 9 o'clock. There'll be a newspaper. Instructions inside. What if someone else takes the newspaper? They won't. It'll be in Romanian. Nobody reads Romanian newspapers in Vienna except you. He nods, puts his book back, walks toward the front of the store, doesn't look back. I wait 5 minutes, pull a World War II book off the shelf, feel the weight. There's something inside the dust jacket. I slip it under my coat, browse a few more minutes, buy 2 books I don't need, walk out. Back at my hotel, I lock the door and examine the photographs. 32 SAM sites, SA2 and SA3 systems, exact coordinates, equipment counts, support infrastructure. This is strategic level intelligence, the kind NATO air planners dream about. If it's real, I spend 3 hours cross-referencing the coordinates against known intelligence. Everything checks. Site locations match intercepted communications. Equipment types match what we know about Romanian air defense procurement. Personnel numbers align with organizational tables. It's real. This colonel has access to exactly what he claimed, and he's handing it over because the Securitate murdered his son. I encode the intelligence, send it through secure channels, request verification from other sources, get confirmation back within 18 hours. The material is authentic, high value, distribute immediately to NATO Air Defense Planning Cell. The colonel just gave us the keys to Romania's air defense network. Vienna CIA station is run out of the embassy. Small operation, maybe 15 people total. Chief of station is a guy named Morrison. Career officer, smart, careful, doesn't take unnecessary risks. I brief him on the colonel 2 days after the first handoff. Romanian Army officer, I say. Strategic Defense Planning Section, providing SAM site locations and air defense network intelligence. Motivation is revenge. Securitate killed his son. Morrison leans back in his chair. Revenge operations are unstable. Subject's emotional state makes him unpredictable. Agreed. But the intelligence is solid. We've verified the first batch. It's legitimate. What's he asking for? Nothing. Morrison raises an eyebrow. Nothing? No money, no exfiltration, no promises. He just wants to hurt the people who killed his son. That won't last. Eventually he'll want something. They always do. Maybe. But right now he's operating purely on anger. That makes him dangerous to the Securitate. Makes him valuable to us. Morrison considers this. How long can he operate? Unknown. He's traveling to Vienna on legitimate business. Procurement meetings with Austrian manufacturers. Covers solid for now. But if he increases travel frequency, the Securitate will notice. So we space out the meets. Make each one count. Exactly. Morrison nods. What support do you need? Counter surveillance. I need to know if the Securitate has people tracking him. Need to know if he's under observation when he's in Vienna. I'll assign a team. They'll track Romanian intelligence officers, monitor for unusual activity. If the Securitate floods Vienna with extra personnel, we'll know. Good. I also need secure communication protocols for dead drops. Can't keep meeting face to face. Too risky. We'll set up a system. Multiple drops across the city. Rotation schedule. Coded instructions. And I need a exfiltration plan in case this goes bad. Morrison shakes his head. He refused exfiltration, has family in Bucharest, wife and daughter. says he won't leave them. Then there's no exfiltration plan. He made his choice. We could extract the family too. You know how complicated that is. How long it takes, how many things can go wrong. By the time we got approval and resources and execution timeline, the colonel would be dead or compromised. I know he's right, but I don't like it. So we just run him until he burns? We run him as long as he's productive. If he gets compromised, we cut contact and sanitize the operation. That's the job. You know that. Yeah, I know that. Doesn't mean I have to like it. Second handoff comes 8 days later. Dead drop near the Karlskirche. I check it at 9 in the morning like clockwork. Romanian newspaper. Instructions inside directing me to a different location. Public library. Philosophy section. Third shelf. Look for a book on Nietzsche. I'm there at 2 in the afternoon. Find a book. Inside is a envelope, thin, maybe 20 pages. Back at the hotel, I open it. Network maps. Complete integrated air defense network for Romania, Bulgaria, and Western Hungary. Command and control structure. Communication protocols. Radar coverage overlays showing gaps and redundancies. Response time calculations for different threat scenarios. This is beyond valuable. This is strategic gold. The maps show everything. How the systems link together. How Soviet command overrides Romanian control. How the entire network routes through Moscow for authorization. The Warsaw Pact air defense isn't an alliance. It's an occupation force with bureaucratic face. I encode it, send it up the chain, get immediate response, distribute to NATO immediately. Highest priority, a colonel's intelligence is changing the strategic picture, giving NATO operational advantages that'll last for years. But he's also taking bigger risks. These documents aren't something he can claim he needed for briefing materials. These are classified war plans. If anyone notices they're missing, if anyone checks who accessed them, the colonel's blown. I send a message through the dead drop system. Meet in person. Need to discuss security. He responds 12 hours later. Agrees to meet. Different location. Cafe near the university. The cafe is crowded. Students mostly. Loud conversation. Good cover. Nobody's paying attention to two middle-aged men drinking coffee in the corner. You're taking bigger risks, I say in Romanian. Keep my voice low. Those network maps. Those aren't casual access materials. Someone will notice. I am careful, he says. I photograph them after hours. Return them before morning. Nobody knows. You hope nobody knows. But document control exists for a reason. They track access. They audit files. Eventually, someone will run a check and see anomalies. Then I will stop accessing the most sensitive materials. Provide only what I can obtain through normal work. That reduces the intelligence value. Better reduced value than compromised operation. He's right, but I push anyway. What about exfiltration? We can get you out, get your family out, relocate you somewhere safe. He shakes his head. Same answer as before. No, I will not abandon my wife and daughter. If I defect, the Securitate will make them pay. I cannot do that. They'll make you pay too when they catch you. Perhaps. But my family will be safe. That matters more. I look at him. Really look at him. This isn't a professional intelligence officer. This is a father who lost his son and decided to fight back the only way he could. He's not thinking about survival. Not thinking about career or escape plans or long-term operational security. He's thinking about revenge, about making the system pay, about ensuring his son's death meant something. That kind of motivation doesn't quit, doesn't negotiate, doesn't calculate odds. It just acts. All right, I say, we continue. But you reduce access to the most sensitive materials. Focus on information you can obtain through legitimate work requirements. Space out your Vienna trips. Make them less frequent. Agreed. And if anything changes, if you sense surveillance or unusual attention, you signal immediately. Don't wait. Don't try to assess the situation yourself. Just signal. How? There's a flower shop on Kärntner Strasse. If you're in trouble, buy white roses. Place them in the window of your hotel room. We'll see them. We'll know to abort the operation and sanitize contact protocols. He nods. White roses. Window. Understood. We finish our coffee. Leave separately. I watch him walk away through the crowded street. Watch him disappear into Vienna's afternoon crowds. Wonder if I'll see him again. 3 weeks pass. No signal. No white roses. The colonel makes another Vienna trip. Legitimate business. Procurement meeting with Austrian drilling equipment manufacturer. Perfect cover. The handoff is a brush past this time. We're getting smoother. Learning to operate like professionals even though he's not one. Stephansdom. Big Catholic cathedral. Tourist site. Crowded. Perfect. I'm there at 11 in the morning, pretending to admire architecture. He arrives at 11:15, walks past me near the altar. Our shoulders brush. In that moment, he passes me a small envelope. Thin. Fits in my palm. I don't look at it. Don't acknowledge the pass. Just keep walking. Admiring stained glass. Looking at religious art. Tourist doing tourist things. Exit 20 minutes later. Different door than I entered. Surveillance detection route through Vienna's old city. Make sure I'm clean. Back at the hotel, I open the envelope. Updated SAM deployment schedules, winter positions. The Soviets rotate equipment based on weather, move systems to different locations. The colonel's giving us the rotation schedule. Means we can track where the defenses will be weak during winter months. Also included, new radar installations along the Hungarian border, exact coordinates, equipment types, operational dates. The intelligence keeps coming, keeps getting better. The colonel's access is deep. His motivation is strong. He's not slowing down. But Morrison's counter-surveillance team reports something concerning. 2 Romanian intelligence officers in Vienna who aren't part of regular station staff. They flew in from Bucharest 3 days before the colonel's arrival, staying at hotel near airport. Haven't made contact with Vienna station. Haven't followed normal diplomatic protocols. That's a problem. Could be unrelated. Could be completely different operation. Or it could be the Securitate closing in. I have to make a call. Continue the operation or abort. The intelligence is too valuable to lose. But if it's a trap, we blow the whole network. I decide to proceed. But I change the next meet location, change the time, change the protocols, make it harder for anyone to predict our patterns, send the signal through dead drop, new instructions, new location, new security procedures. Wait to see if the colonel follows them. He does. Running the colonel in Romanian makes all the difference. Not English, not through translator, direct communication in his language. When you're asking someone to commit treason, language shapes everything. Working through a translator creates distance, creates formality, creates barrier that makes trust harder. But speaking their language directly changes the dynamic, makes it personal, makes it real. I learned Romanian specifically for Eastern European operations. 6 months language school, then a year in field, practicing, making mistakes, getting better. By Vienna, I could handle complex operational discussions, could read documents, could catch nuances. That capability built the relationship with the colonel when he talked about his son, when he described what the Securitate did, when he explained why he was betraying the system that shaped his entire adult life. I understood. Not just facts, the emotion, the weight. That understanding built rapport, built operational security, built the trust that kept him operating when he was terrified. We had maybe 20 total hours face-to-face across our meetings. Not a lot of time. But because we spoke directly, we built enough trust for him to keep delivering, keep taking risks that any rational person would avoid. During our fourth meet in a industrial area near the Danube, he said something that stuck with me. You speak Romanian like a soldier, he said, not like a diplomat. I am a soldier, I told him. Then we understand each other. We did. Both military, both understanding what it meant to serve, both understanding betrayal and loyalty and the impossible choices you make when the system you serve turns out to be rotten. Language created that connection, made it possible for a Romanian colonel and an American operator to work together against a common enemy. That's not academic exercise. That's operational reality. You want to run effective intelligence operations, you learn the goddamn language. Learn it well enough to think in it. Well enough that when someone's trusting you with their life, you can speak to them as a man. Not optional. Operational necessity. December. Vienna's cold now. Really cold. Snow on the streets. Christmas markets setting up. The city transforms. More crowds. More tourists. Better cover for operational meetings. The colonel makes 2 more trips, each time bringing material, each time taking bigger risks. 5th handoff. Complete order of battle for Soviet air defense forces stationed in Romania, not Romanian forces, Soviet forces, the occupation garrison that Moscow pretends doesn't exist. This is explosive intelligence. Proves Soviet control. Proves the Warsaw Pact is occupation, not alliance. The material has political value beyond the military intelligence. I ask him how he got it. Joint planning session, he says. Soviet and Romanian officers planning integrated air defense response scenarios. They brought their organizational charts. I photographed them. In a meeting? With Soviets present? No. After. They left materials in the conference room. I claimed I needed to review them overnight. Photographed everything. Returned them next morning. The balls on this guy. Walking into Soviet materials. Photographing classified documents. Returning them like nothing happened. Either he's incredibly brave or incredibly reckless. Maybe both. 6th handoff. Updated command and control protocols. Changes after Soviet inspection found deficiencies in Romanian readiness. This shows Soviet micromanagement, shows Romanian military subordination. Each piece of intelligence fits together, builds comprehensive picture of Warsaw Pact air defense network. NATO planners are ecstatic. This is once-in-a-decade material. But I'm worried. The colonel's operational security is degrading. He's taking shortcuts, taking bigger risks. The anger that motivates him is making him careless. I try to slow him down, try to impose discipline. You need to reduce the frequency, I tell him at our 6th meet. Space out the Vienna trips, make them less predictable. I have limited time, he says. I can feel it. The Securitate is watching. I see things, small things, people paying attention who shouldn't, questions from colleagues that feel like probing. Then we stop, we sanitize the operation, get you clear. No, I continue until I cannot, until they catch me or until I have given you everything I can access. That's suicide, perhaps, but it is effective suicide. Every document I provide weakens them, strengthens you. My son died asking questions. I will die providing answers. Can't argue with that kind of logic. Can't convince someone whose motivation is existential. So we continue, keep meeting, keep collecting intelligence, keep running the operation until it burns. The 7th meet never happens. I'm at the location waiting. He doesn't show. 10 minutes past schedule time. Nothing. 20 minutes. Nothing. By 30 minutes, I know something's wrong. I wait full hour anyway. Standard protocol. Give the source maximum opportunity to appear, but he doesn't. I leave. Execute sanitization protocols. Check the dead drop sites. Check for white roses in hotel windows. Nothing. Send cable through secure channels. Source failed to appear for scheduled meeting. Request status check through available assets. Response comes back 36 hours later. Romanian national matching source description arrested in Bucharest 4 days ago. Charged with espionage. Trial scheduled. Outcome predetermined. That's it. That's all they tell me. The colonel is gone, blown, arrested, probably already dead or waiting for the bullet. I request additional information. What about his family? What about his wife and daughter? Can we intervene? Can we extract them? All negative responses. No additional information available. No intervention possible. The Romanians have him. That's the end. I write the final operational report. Document the intelligence received. Assess the strategic value. Note the source's motivation and circumstances of compromise. Recommend NATO distribution for operational integration. The report is clinical, professional, no emotion, just facts. Intelligence, outcome, that's the job. Compartmentalize. Write the report. Move on. But I think about the colonel, about his son, about the questions that got a kid tortured to death, about a father who fought back the only way he could. 37 days later, another cable comes through. Colonel Ionescu executed by firing squad. Sentence carried out at dawn. Body not released to family. I read it twice, file it, close the folder. That's how it ends sometimes. Not with successful exfiltration. Not with quiet retirement under new identity. Just a bullet and unmarked grave, and the knowledge that the intelligence made a difference even if the source didn't survive. The intelligence from Colonel Ionescu changed NATO operational planning for southeastern Europe. Not dramatically, not obviously, but significantly. The SAM site locations allowed us to map integrated air defense network for Romania, Bulgaria, and parts of Hungary. We identified gaps in radar coverage, identified vulnerabilities in command and control structure, identified response time limitations that could be exploited. That information got classified, got distributed to Air Force planners, got integrated into contingency plans for conflict scenarios. Pilots who flew missions in the 80s didn't know about the colonel, didn't know a Romanian staff officer died to give them information that kept them alive. They just knew their mission planners had good intelligence, knew the strike packages were designed to exploit specific weaknesses in enemy defenses. That's how intelligence works. Sources die in obscurity. Information lives on in classified files. Operational impact spreads across years and missions and contexts the source never imagined. The colonel wanted to strike back at the system that killed his son. He succeeded. The intelligence he provided degraded Warsaw Pact capabilities, created vulnerabilities, shifted strategic balance in ways that persisted for decades. One man's decision to act ripple effects across the entire Cold War strategic landscape. He wasn't SF, wasn't trained for covert operations, wasn't part of any elite unit, just a staff officer who loved his son and hated the people who killed him. But he had what mattered. The warrior's core attribute, the desire to be involved, the decision to fight, the refusal to accept injustice without responding. That's more valuable than training, more valuable than equipment, more valuable than any physical capability. The decision to act, that's everything. The colonel made that decision, paid for it with his life, but the fight mattered, the intelligence mattered, the impact lasted. Vienna, 1975, a Romanian colonel hands over defense secrets because the system killed his son for asking questions. 40-something years later, the intelligence still shapes how we understand Soviet control mechanisms, still informs strategic planning, still matters. That's the legacy. That's what remains when the source is dead and the operation is closed and the files are buried in classified archives. The decision to fight, the decision to be involved, the decision to act, that's what the colonel taught me in Vienna. That's what I carry forward. 3 principles from Colonel Ionescu's operation. 3 lessons that apply to everything. Volunteer for everything. I volunteered for Vienna. Didn't wait for perfect information or ideal conditions, just raised my hand. That decision put me in position to receive critical intelligence, to be part of something that mattered strategically. If I'd waited, someone else would have run it. Maybe better, maybe worse. Doesn't matter. What matters is I was there. I was involved. That's the principle. You don't know what's important until you're in it. So you volunteer every time, without hesitation. Language is a force multiplier. Running the colonel in Romanian built trust, created operational security, allowed us to work effectively in limited time. If I'd relied on a translator, the relationship would have been different, more formal, more distant, less effective. Language capability made the operation possible. That's true in SF operations, true in intelligence work, true anywhere you need to build relationships across cultures. You learn the language. You use it. It's not optional. The decision to be involved defines a warrior. The colonel wasn't a warrior by profession, but he made the warrior's decision, chose to fight, chose to act, chose to be involved even when the personal cost was catastrophic. That's what separates people who matter from people who observe. Not training, not capability, the decision to engage. The decision to risk something real, the decision to be there when it counts. Most people never make that decision. The colonel did. That's what made him dangerous to his enemies. That's what made his life matter. Vienna, 1975. A Romanian colonel risks everything to strike back at the people who murdered his son. The colonel taught me that courage isn't about capability. It's about decision. The decision to act, the decision to fight, the decision to be involved when you could stay safe. Every operator who matters makes that decision. Every mission that counts requires it. Will you volunteer? Will you raise your hand? Will you take the risk? Or will you wait for perfect conditions that never come? The colonel didn't wait, didn't hesitate, didn't calculate the odds. He just acted. That's the standard. That's what separates warriors from everyone else. Billy learned it young, learned it in SF, learned it in SOG, learned it again in Vienna, watching a Romanian staff officer risk everything to strike back at murderers. The lesson is simple, brutal, undeniable. Volunteer for everything. Learn the language. Never quit. Be willing to be involved. That's it. That's the whole goddamn thing. Everything else is just details. The colonel's dead. Been dead for decades. But the lesson lives. The intelligence he provided still shapes strategic planning. Still matters. That's the legacy. The decision to fight. The decision to act. The decision to be involved. That's what stays with you. That's everything.